What's going on, YouTube? It's Stan the Man here, aka 12 Gauge 365, and I'm back at y'all with another video. Now, look, on my last channel, y'all would know that I'm a very big Auburn fan. So, I've just been trying to keep up with the Auburn games that's been going on for this coming up season. So, I've been I think like the last video I posted about it was maybe the Georgia game or something like that. Then I kind of fizzled out because I was trying to just get stuff ready for the home gym and trying to build on the home gym and getting ready to launch this new YouTube channel. I've just been been getting too busy to try to keep up with what's been going on. I mean, I've been keeping up with it, but I haven't been able to post about it. So what better week to get back into it than the Iron Bowl week, man? So very excited about this week, man. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. So yeah, man, I hope everybody having a great Thanksgiving week, and I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving tomorrow. So yeah, just want to give a quick review of the Auburn game and basically just give like a quick mid-season or end of the season wrap up to basically kind of just go on, just to kind of go off of what's been going on for the season right now, and just to kind of wrap it up and basically just kind of dive into what's going to happen in this Iron Bowl game, man. So yeah, so like I said, man, on my last channel, like I said, man, after the South Alabama game, I was very worried about the season because we were 3-0 even still, but I was kind of worried about the season, man, because the offensive line was making a lot of mistakes. And like I said, I just saw a lot of stuff that he was doing as far as play calling and stuff that I felt like would have been detrimental to the team. And then, kind of like my worst fears came to light, and we saw what happened in the weeks afterwards. Because, with the South Alabama game, that's when I started noticing some issues and I started to have some worries for the season, like I said, with the offensive line and stuff. And then with the Oklahoma game, even though the refs screwed us over with, I still felt like that's a game that we should have won. But yeah, I mean, like you take away those two touchdowns that the ref took from us with the fumble and with the touchdown that they let Oklahoma get away with, we win that game. I mean, we lost that game 24-17. Oklahoma is the number 8 ranked team in the nation right now, especially after they beat Alabama. They're in the top 10. So yeah, if you just take away those two touchdowns, we win that game. And then we lose to Texas A&M. Now, I feel like Texas A&M is the first true loss of the season, and Texas A&M is number 3 ranked team right now. And then moving on to the Georgia loss, we lose that game 20-10. But like I said, we got screwed out of a touchdown at halftime. Now we were winning 10-0 up until that point. If they took away the touchdown from us, that would have put us up 17-0, and that would have gave us a lot of momentum going into the third quarter. But the referee took the touchdown back from us and called it a fumble. Georgia goes back to kick the field goal going into the halftime, and then they get the ball back in the third quarter, then they end up tying the game, and then it just goes downhill from there. You can kind of see the momentum just kind of dip, because we started that game out strong. We started, like, Jackson Arnold was making the passes he needed to make. He wasn't holding on to the ball in the pocket. He was doing everything that we needed him to do as a quarterback, and it felt like that was a game that we could win, because even though we was 3-2 at that point, that still could have been a pivotal game to turn the season around and make sure the season was going to keep going into the direction that we felt like it was going to go. Like I said, we could have had a 10-win season easily. A 9-10-win season this year had Hugh not made the plays that he made, and had the refs not screwed us over in some of those games. So, like I said, Georgia's the number 4 ranked team, by the way, and we lose that game 20-10. But like I said, if we go in 17-0 going into the third quarter, we still end up winning that game, in my opinion. But moving on to the Kentucky loss. Now, the Arkansas win. Now, we won that game, and it seemed like Hugh was kind of, doing what we needed to do. It felt like he was kind of turning over a new leaf. Jackson Arnold threw a pick. He threw a pick 6 or something before the halftime, and we finally see him get put to the bench. We was kind of growing weary of Jackson Arnold, and we finally see him get moved to the bench. And we get Ashton Daniels coming in, and he pretty much closed out the game for us. And we thought that could have been, another pivotal moment for us to turn the season around, because even though Arkansas didn't have the record, Arkansas was better than what their record portrayed. They were a lot better than what their record showed by the time that Auburn beat them. So like I said, that felt like a win that we could really build up off of. But then we go and lose to Kentucky, and then we finally get tired of Hugh, and they finally fired Hugh, and DJ Durkin makes his debut. In the Vanderbilt game, like I said, it just felt like it was a different feeling for us. Hugh had kind of screwed it up all the way up until that point, but then when we played Vanderbilt, it just felt like a breath of fresh air for the Auburn team, and we pushed them into the overtime. And like I said, Diego Pavia, he's a 12th year veteran, a 12th year senior or whatnot. I'm not really, but he's been in the game for pretty much a long time. So he's always able to close out. He was going to be able to close out that game anyway. So like I said, man, it was an expected loss for us. But like I said, we love the way that we played. And then with the Mercer being 9-1, even though they didn't have a strong schedule, they were 9-1 for a reason. And like I said, we put a whooping on them. Deuce Knight made his debut and turned the freaking he turned the game up for everybody, man. He restored that feeling in the Auburn team. So I feel like going into this Iron Bowl, like we have a lot of momentum. Now there's a lot of stuff to take away, and there's a lot of stuff to dive into as far as what the Iron Bowl is going to bring, because like I said, Alabama is who Alabama is. Alabama is, they always going to be the big brother to Auburn right now. Like I mean, the record right now is 51-37. Alabama got us by at least 14 games right now. So they have always been the big brother to us. But every year something will happen, man. And Auburn, we'll shock y'all, man. We'll shock y'all. So, I really think that this is a team that can really, punch Alabama in the mouth, and we can really run the score up. And I feel like this is kind of one of those situations because, like I said in the Georgia game, I felt like Auburn had the tools to run the score up and be up by a few touchdowns before Georgia gets the ball back. And that's what pretty much was on course to happening before, like I said, we get that fumble call on the touchdown that we should have gotten. And like I said, it kind of went downhill from there. But now that we have DJ Durkin installed as the head coach, and now it seems like he's going to be making those plays that Hugh Freeze just refused to make or just didn't have the common sense enough to make, to where I feel like if we get up by a few touchdowns in this game, we might be able to keep that lead and we might be able to push that gas and keep it there, because we saw what Oklahoma did to Alabama, and Oklahoma, we got screwed over in 2 touchdowns when we played Oklahoma, and Alabama decidedly lost to Oklahoma, So, like I said, I feel like Auburn has had all of these close games with these top ranked teams in the top 5, teams in the top 10. Like we have always been knocking on the door, and it's always been that way. So I feel like this is a chance for us to finish this season off strong, screw up Alabama's season, because if they lose this game and they end up 9-3, then they don't get to the SEC championships, and they definitely don't get into the college football playoffs. So there's a lot of stuff that we can take away from this game, and there's a lot of momentum, and there's a lot of confidence that we can ride on going into this game. I mean, as far as the defense, I mean, Auburn has always had one of the top defenses in the SEC and in college football, and especially playing in the SEC, I felt like the defense have finally been kind of getting the respect that they deserve in these past couple of years. But when you think about Alabama, like I feel like this year with Ty Simpson, he's definitely a dog. I'm not going to sit here and act like Ty Simpson is not a dog. Like, we know this. But the thing is with Ty Simpson is that he will make mistakes. We saw he's thrown interceptions in his last two. He's thrown interceptions in his last 2 weeks, and the most embarrassing performance of his career was last weekend with Eastern Illinois University. I mean, that's a team that they supposed to blow out, and they did blow him out. But Ty Simpson was supposed to have a field day with that team, and you see he's no touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and not necessarily a good quarterback rating. So I felt like Auburn's defense, if he can throw 2 interceptions against Eastern Illinois, then Auburn defenses can definitely make him throw. I'm not going to say we can make him throw some interceptions, but we can definitely put him in some uncomfortable situations relative to what Jackson Arnold has been dealing with in the beginning of this season when we had those tough 3 stretches of games. I really feel like we can put Ty Simpson in the box just like that. But the problem is with Alabama is that they have 2 more quarterbacks that are studs. So it really just depends on how much they want to ride this Ty Simpson train. But I really feel like with Auburn, with the defense that we've had this season, I feel like we definitely can be one of the best defenses that Ty Simpson has seen this year. Even including the Georgia games and all of the other teams that Alabama's played this year. I mean, even though they lost to FSU, they lost to Oklahoma, I feel like Oklahoma and Auburn really has a defense that are kind of parallel to each other. If I was a caller, I would probably say Oklahoma probably has a little bit better defense than we do, just because they're able to close out those games, especially when they played us and then when they played Alabama. But we will have to see what's going to happen in the Iron Bowl. I really feel like Auburn's defense can kind of, like I said, man, put Ty Simpson in that box, because if he's going to throw interceptions against Eastern Illinois, if he's going to throw interceptions against teams like that, then Auburn's going to have a field day with him, and they can have a field day with him. And it would just depend on how they want to come out, man, because I think when in the past few weeks, definitely leading up to the last sightings of Hugh Freeze, I felt like this team was kind of like not really feeling them. And I don't know what those meetings were like. I don't know what he was saying to try to light a fire up under them, but I don't feel like that fire was being lit. I feel like with DJ Durkin, like with him being a defensive coordinator, so he's, in my opinion, been the reason while the defense have shined this whole season. And with him being the head coach, I feel like that actually inserts a different kind of mentality into this team to where, they're not gonna look at Alabama like Alabama has been who they were under Nick Saban. Like I feel like that's the first step to beating a team like Alabama is to break down the aura and break down the energy and the I want to say intimidation factor that comes with Alabama. If you could just break that down, and we've seen teams, especially because they haven't won anything since 2020, I believe. Yeah, like they haven't won the championships, and they hadn't been there since 2020. It's been 5 years for them. It's been a long drought for them. So I feel like it's a situation to where as long as you can break down that intimidation factor, then you can just look at Alabama like they're just any other regular team. And I feel like that's the first step to beating them, because when you look at the numbers of Alabama, like they will shock you. Like, I mean, they will scare you, especially looking at it and diving deeper into it. I mean, they're already a 5.5 point favorites for Auburn. They're number 9 national ranked defense. There's number 7 in points allowed, number 4 in pass defense, number 10 in rush defense, and number 2nd in secondary and offensive line. And they got the number 8th ranked linebacker core. So like I said, when you look at all of these things, they're top 10 in damn near every category except for third down conversions. Now, I will say that's one thing that Auburn does better than Alabama is they do close out on third downs a lot better than they do. So like I said, that's something that I feel like they can play into. Obviously, I don't even need to break down Alabama's offensive numbers and offensive rankings because they just blow everything out. I think they're like top 4 in pass defense. I mean, in passing offense, and they're like top. I mean, they're number 4 in pass defense, and I think number 6 or number 7 in red zone efficiency or something like that. Like I said, I don't even go into that because Alabama is just a powerhouse team, so there's nothing to really even say about that. But especially when it comes to the defense, I feel like like I said, if you just break down that intimidation factor and kind of repeat these same philosophies that Oklahoma did this year and last year. Now, I think that needs to be noted. Oklahoma's beat them for the 2nd year in a row, so I think that needs to be noted. Vanderbilt gave it to them last year, and this past season, Vanderbilt gave them a game as well. So, like I said, man, I feel like there's definitely Auburn's record doesn't reflect on the talent that they have as a team. I don't even need to go into their offense because we already know what they look like on offense. So like I said, that's beating the dead horse going into that. I just want to demonstrate what it's going to take to beat a team like this. We have to lean on our defensive anchors. Like I said, Champ Anthony, I don't think he's going to be able to, like he was questionable for this week, and he's been day-to-day even up until last week. So I'm not really sure. And like I said, the secondary hasn't really been performing that well anyway. So it's really not for me to say whether or not that's going to make a big of a difference anyway. I think this game is just like most of all of these other games. And what happens with the SEC is that most of these games are going to be won in the trenches. So we're going to have to see how well this defensive line is going to hold up, because Alabama is, like I said, it's a powerhouse team, and they just have the ability to intimidate people. Like they just have that intimidation factor to where if they get ahead and you make a mistake on Alabama, then it's pretty much over with. But I feel like the narrative in these past couple of years and these past couple of weeks is that you can actually make a mistake against Alabama and then come back and still win the game. That doesn't mean it's the end of the game. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff that Auburn can lean into. This game is going to be played at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Everybody knows it's hard as hell to play on the plains. It's going to be loud. It's going to be rambunctious. So yeah, like I feel like all of everything is in the makings for Alabama to pull off another upset. So, hey man, look, miracles happen at the Jordan-Hare Stadium. So I'm not gonna sit up here and act like it doesn't. So this is a game that I'm very excited for. I'm pretty sure everybody else is excited for, man. Let me know how y'all feel about that in the comments. If I was to call it, man, I'm gonna say final score. I'm gonna ride with Auburn 27-21. So yeah, man, we're going to call it like that, man. I'm gonna put the 6-point spread in Auburn's favor. So let's see how y'all feel about that in the comments, man. Shout out to my homie, Mizzy Lifestyle. I know he done already gave his take on it. So like I said, man, me and him going to be talking all week about what's going to happen in this game. So we're going to see what's going to happen, man. Stay tuned for the next batch of videos coming out, man. We got the Christmas season coming up, man. So be on the lookout for some Christmas movie reviews. So yeah, man, we will keep this thing rolling, man. Stay safe, stay blessed, and always stay dangerous. We will see y'all on the next one, man. Stay in the man. I'll holla at y'all. Appreciate you.